It's nothing like when we do our own stuff, right? Isn't it? It's so much better. So, what I'd like to say is good morning again to everybody here. Please follow along on our app, download it, whatever. If you're watching online, welcome, and we love you. We'd love to see you here, but maybe that's not possible. But we're in this series called Rubber Band. We're really talking about growth. And sometimes we want to get closer to God, and we don't really know how to start growing. Where are we going to start stretching ourselves at? Where are we going to start? Because there's separate, we have to start stretching. We have to start kind of moving forward a little bit. And so we kind of get rid of the major sins in our lives, right? Isn't that what we do? It's the first thing that goes away. So we start being conscious about it. We go, I'm not going to steal anymore. That's one of the things. So I'll just be completely honest with you, is that before I became a Christian, before I started following and really walking with God, I had like one of those uTorrent type accounts. Those are different now, but I had massive amounts of illegal music and illegal movies. Anybody maybe gone through that? I deleted all of it. I got rid of it all. Kind of one of those major conviction points. I was like, that has to go away. And one of the things that I didn't have to give up, but we always go, well, at least I didn't murder anybody, so I didn't have to give up murdering people because I wasn't doing that. That's kind of one of those things that we don't, that we have, we go, I'm not doing that. I never did any of those major type sins, but a lot of us, we just have these kind of sins that we do on a regular basis that we don't even really think about. That's just kind of part of our everyday life. It's kind of natural for us. Psalms 139, it says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you and lead me along the path of everlasting life." So here's what I want to do. To stop here for just a brief moment. I want to go back to that, and I want you just to kind of say that as a prayer, because that's really what it is. I want you to say that as a prayer, because it says, "Search me, O God, and know my hearts, and test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life." That should be a prayer that we have. That should be one of those things that we're praying, because I'm going to tell you that today's going to be tough. I'm just going to let you know it's going to be a tough one. It's kind of like I'm getting ready to swear in church, I think. Because what we have to do is we have to give up gossiping. Isn't that one of those things that we tend to do a lot, is we gossip? And maybe we don't even do it intentionally. We just we gossip. And anybody in here, you ever been gossiped about? You ever had somebody talking about you behind your back? I have. It happens almost every week for me. It happens all the time. People go, "Did you hear what Mike said?" It's all the time. It might be that he might have said it during service, but there's other times where I say things. How hard is that on you? How hard, when you finally hear it, how hard is it on you that you hear it and you go, "What? They said what? They did what? What?" And there's certain things that we start looking at. Anybody, kind of like, give me an example. You ever heard that somebody comes out and says that Tom Cruise is part of a cult? Isn't that kind of gossiping about him? And so, he's got his beliefs, and, we just kind of look at it. What he does is he's part of a cult. That's what he does. Or, he's got, Tom Cruise has got the sports car, he's got this, he's got these things, he's got helicopters, but we don't know who he is. We don't know anything about him. We just gossip about him. It's like we opened up the I don't even know what the magazines are called at the store now, but, the whatever they are. The National Enquirer or whatever. We're like, oh, that's true. Everything they said. Aliens were here this week. And then a lot of times we justify it. We go, that's not a big deal. Everybody does it. Right? Everybody talks about somebody. Everybody gossips. What is gossip? So I'll give you what Rick Warren says, because Rick Warren, he's probably done this a little longer than I have, and it says, "When we are talking about a situation with someone who is neither part of the problem or part of the solution, then we are probably gossiping." When we're talking about a situation with someone who is neither part of the problem or part of the solution, then we are probably gossiping. And then if you look at Proverbs 6, there are 6 things the Lord hates. 7 that are detestable to him: a false witness who pours out lies, and a person who stirs up conflict in the community. Wow. Man. I just want you to think about something. When somebody is talking to your kids or talking about your kids, how do you feel? How do you get to that point? When somebody comes down and they start talking about your kids, Oh, your kids did this and did that, and your kids are just, man, they are just hellions. Really? How, now sometimes we go, yeah, that's true. You got it. You right on the head, man. You got it. But other times you're like, man, my kids are great. They actually do what I asked them to do. They're not. What are you talking about? And see, there's things are, but it upsets us. Well, how do you think that God feels about it when somebody's talking about us? When we talk about others, we're talking about God's children. We're talking about and so when you start seeing this, how do you think our Father in heaven reacts? Because if we get upset about it, if somebody was to come out and go, your kid is stupid, and then they just told everybody behind your back, that kid is just dumb. I don't even know what we're going to do about that kid. What do we do? And if it just all the time, do you imagine how upset you would be? You would be steaming. I know some of you in here, you get upset over less. And so you start looking at it, how do you imagine that our Father in heaven looks at it when we're talking about somebody else? When we're talking about our neighbor or our friends or whatever, if you're talking about them behind their back, you're probably not their friend. The problem is there's something attractive about gossip. There just is. There's something attractive. Even the Bible, even back then when you look at Proverbs 18:8, it says, the words of a gossip are like choice morsel, and they go down to the inmost parts. Here's the question. My question to you, I guess, is why do you participate in gossip? Why? What happens there? Do you want to feel important? Do you enjoy hearing other people's dirt? Is that what it is? Do you enjoy making others look bad? Are you dissatisfied with your own life, that you have to put other people down in order to make you feel good? Are you insecure? That's a big reason why we do it. We just become so insecure, and we're like, oh, I got to put somebody else down to make me to prop myself up a little bit. And as you heard me read all these, you haven't heard a single good reason. Not a single good reason out of any of those that has come up. And so what we really need to do is we need to start trying to overcome the sin of gossip. We need to start overcoming this. And this is a huge stretch for us. And it really is going to help us with growth. And it's really going to help us transform and go which direction we're going to go from. Because right now, as we sit there, we continue to just try and throw more and more dirt on one another when we should be helping one another grow rather than tearing each other down. So here's a question for you. When you're participating in conversation with somebody and you're talking about somebody, is my conversation helpful or hurtful? Is what you're doing helpful or hurtful? Are you helping build somebody up or are you hurting them? Ephesians 4:29. Do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up. Do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up. So let's look at our conversation for the last week. Let's look at all of our conversations for the last week and start thinking about it. How much of it was unwholesome talk and how much of it was not for building others up? And you start looking at it and you go, man, I had some of those conversations this morning. Literally, I had some of those. I actually had one of those conversations this morning. I'm getting ready to preach on gossip, and I was gossiping. And it's not one of these things that I'm trying to say that I'm right or wrong, but what happens is that we're trying to figure out what is that conversation, where is it at? How do we build them up? How do we get to that point? How do we help lead them to the right direction without hurting them or dragging them down? In Proverbs 16, scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. Troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. Look at this. The Bible, it clearly identifies that it's something that we need to put an end to, that it's something that we shouldn't do at all because it will destroy our relationships. Is it helpful or hurtful? Be honest. Look at the conversation. Was it helpful or hurtful? Or do we disguise gossip sometimes in a compliment sandwich? I like him, but this is what's going on here. And that's what we do a lot of times. Or sometimes we turn a prayer meeting into an excuse for a gossip session. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? I'm not saying that happens. Not here, at least. And sometimes we go, but it's okay if it's true to talk about it, right? It's okay if it's true. Is it helpful or is it hurtful? Is it helping or are we hurting? What's the question there? You know, and I posted this, and I probably sent it to you guys as a text message this morning, and what I said is everything that is said should be true. Not everything true should be said. Right? I mean, we shouldn't, just because it's true doesn't mean that we need to put it out there. Are we helping that person? Are we talking about them behind their back? Here's a really bigger question to ask when you're looking at that. Are we making a private matter public? Are we taking a private matter and we turning it public? Is it something that you should address with them on a one-on-one basis and talk about them and grow them through it? Or are you just putting them on blast because you want to hurt them? There are big questions here. Proverbs 11 says it's foolish to battle one's neighbor. A sensible person keeps quiet. A gossip goes around telling secrets. But those who are trustworthy can keep a confidence. The husband does something wrong. The wife couldn't keep it a secret and goes out and tells everybody, and all of a sudden, now they're separated because they've created this divide between the two of them. Adultery didn't kill a marriage, the gossip did. That's just kind of what went on there. You know, and we look at this and you go, look at social media. Social media has turned into a huge gossip place. That's all it is. You turn on social media and you open up Facebook, you open up Twitter, you open up any of these. This person did this person did that, and usually it's unfounded. There's nothing that goes along with it. It's just hateful rhetoric. There's nothing being built up. There's nothing going on. Look right now, just look at the election that's going on. You know, and I'll just tell you, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to take sides in this, but if you look at it, there's such hateful direction. And it's funny is that I'm Facebook friends with most of you guys in here, and if you guys know, I may not post a lot, but I certainly stalk all the time. I'm on there, and I know what's happening. And so I look at it, and I see what's going on, and I see the direction, and I see how things are being, and I look at, one people are on one side of the fence, and the other people are on the other side of the fence, and you guys are still worshiping together, but you guys hate each other's views sometimes. And it's amazing is that we can still come together even through that. But if you start looking at it and start seeing the hate that's coming out, and it's unfounded a lot of times. We take snippets of conversation and we blow it out into, they said this or she said that. It's like one of the things I said, she's sick and she's dying. That's what I saw this week. We're all sick and dying, right? It's going to happen to all of us. It's they say the two things that are guaranteed in life is death and taxes. We're all there. But we try, it's like we're blowing this up. We have to find the facts, and that's what we put out there, and we can talk about that. If it's not helping one another grow, or it's not helping anything, or you look at some of these protests that are happening. Even when the information comes out that shows one way or the other, and even no matter what's happening, people are trying to help people grow through it, you look at it and go, we've turned it into something that maybe it isn't. You start looking at some of this stuff and you start going, man, what has happened here? Which direction have we gone? And are we actually helping the situation, or are we making it worse? When people protested, there's a difference between peaceful protesting and rioting. And so some of what's going on, some people are trying to peacefully protest and others are rioting. There's not going to be an accomplishment through it. And so with rumors or with inaccurate facts or by gossiping is essentially what's happened. Or have we created riots? Is that what's gone on? Or we've looked at the situation and we don't know exactly what's happened. And I'm not saying I know, because I don't. I'm not in any of these cities, and I've never had a conversation with anybody that's there. And I just look at it and I go, have we turned something, have we taken a situation and blown it up? And we don't know what it is yet because of gossip. Because we just passed it along. We got on Facebook and we shared it. Oh, share. And anybody, have you guys seen, and I'm just kind of completely off topic here, have you guys ever seen one of these things where somebody posts a picture of somebody who's sick, and they go, I saw it this morning, I've been healed of cancer, can I get 1,000 likes and share my post? Did anybody seen one of those? Have you ever liked it and shared it? Somebody has, I know it has, because it came to my feed, so one of you did it. And the reason why I bring this up is because you know that people are trying to get you to like that page so they can change it and then hack your account and then try and get your information. So literally passing gossip or passing through this information and going through this, we're making it to we're actually putting other people at harm through social media. We look at these things and it's not true, and what they do is they try and get our name, because you become friends with, all of us have our friend settings are probably friends of mine can see my information. That's how probably most of your settings are on Facebook. If you go there and look at it and go, friends can see your information a lot of time. So if you go, I'm blocking my friends, then they go, you got to be your friend in order to see this information. But so when you like or friend a page, all of a sudden they have access to your information. You go, where did I get this ghost page? Why do they have my picture? Why do they have my information? Why do they have all this stuff? You gave it to them through gossip. You gave it to them through your gossip. If you have a duplicate page out there, you gossiped about something. You passed on something and it was fake, and they go, gotcha. And they snatched the leash. And that's what happens. Social media, it's tough. It kills us. And the bad part is we spend so much time on social media now. So much time. You talk to people, and there's two extremes. So if you talk to anybody who's generally 45 or older, they're like, social media sucks. It takes us away from real relationships. It's the worst thing ever. So anybody about 45 or older. But if you talk to people that are 20 to 30, they're like, or 20 to 35, something like that. They're like, that's okay. I can do without it. But they spend a lot of time on it. If you talk to our teenagers, they're like, what? I can't have Snapchat. I can't have this. I can't have that. They're ready to go out and start committing mass murder. It's like a need. They have to have it. They have to have this social media. You see how it's kind of, at some point, I've used now. Anybody in here seen the movie WALL-E? Anybody? WALL-E, little robot Disney movie. You know what all the people are relying on? Little screen in front of their face, right? If you've seen that movie, there's a little screen right in front of their face. So I just want to give you kind of a couple other things, is that screen in front of their face has made it to where most of them can't walk anymore because they were all overweight. They couldn't even carry their own weight. So I want to give you just another thing, is that if you start looking at the average weight of Americans, the average weight of Americans has increased by 45 pounds in the last 60 years. The average weight has gone up. By the way, the average height has also gone up. The average height was 5'8". So that's the reason why when you get in your car, your seatbelt is set for a short person, because that's how they built it all. It was built on that standard of 5'8". And I know it's all pointless information. I told you it wasn't part of my notes. Kind of went off my own little spot. But the thing is those things, as technology has gotten more and more progressive, we've gotten more and more lazier. And it's caused us to be sharing more information. It's caused us to rely more on computers. It's caused us to start getting to this point where it's like, what's happening for me? We've created more gyms. We've created more gym memberships. But all of our information is gone, and we've gotten to this point where we're going to be, if it keeps going the direction it's going, it will be like WALL-E. We'll have a little screen in front of us and a little chair that rolls us around, and that's life. If it keeps going that way, just look at how it's going. Look at our generation. But it all kind of starts way off topic. I know. Let's go back to gossip. So you won't call 300 people and tell them what you had going on, right? Isn't that, you won't, if something happened to, somebody comes up, did you hear what Mike said? You won't call 300 people and say that, but you'll immediately send a tweet about it. You'll put it out there. You'll put it on Facebook. Mike did this or Mike did that. But you won't go ahead and call those people. I'll just put it out there, put it on blast. I've got a feeling I'm lost now, so I'm sorry. But just go back to the Bible. That's a good place to be. Proverbs 25. When arguing with your neighbor, don't betray another person's secret. Others may accuse you of gossip, and you will never again regain your good reputation. Man, that's another tough one. Do you have the reputation for being able to be trustworthy with secrets, or do you have the reputation of being able to, or you just give it up? You just tell everybody, hey, this is what's going on. Here's another question for you. Am I permitting others to gossip? Do you permit others to gossip? Proverbs 17:4. Wrongdoers eagerly listen to gossip. Liars pay close attention to slander. It's not just wrong to speak the gossip, it's wrong to listen to it. It's not wrong just to be talking, it's also wrong to be on the receiving end and to listen to it. What you permit, you promote. If you're permitting it and you're allowing it, you're promoting it. So here's the thing is we have to get to this point, not only will I not do it, but I won't hang around those that do it. That's how we have to get to this point. We have to get to this mindset, not only will I not gossip, but I won't be around those who do gossip. You know, there's a couple of subtle ways that you can get out of it. Maybe you can, I'll give you kind of a couple directions. Maybe I'll help you with this. So here's a subtle way you can go, I'm not feeling too comfortable with this conversation. I think we should end it. That's a nice way to put it, right? You can go, hey, I'm done listening to this gossip. There's a caring way. You can just say, if Mike knew we were talking about him, he'd be really hurt. You know, you could just be really nice about it. If Mike knew, and I use my name, but it could be if Melissa knew, or if Nelson knew, or if anybody knew, they wouldn't be too happy. They would really, really be hurt and offended. You know, you could do it that way. Or you can go biblical. You can use the Bible. You know, if you have a problem with so-and-so, maybe you should go directly to them. If you have a problem with Mike, you should go directly to him. Or you can just be direct. You know, if you keep talking about others, we're done. I'm not hanging out with you. I'm never talking, you know, I had to tell my wife that last night. You keep talking about others, we're done. No, I'm kidding. But that's how it gets. Is that you have to get to that point. Everybody knows, baby. Everybody knows. I told them all. Trying to help you grow. That's all. Yeah. So here's the thing. If they gossip to you, they're probably going to gossip about you. Here's the thing. If they gossip to you, they're probably going to gossip about you. Now, there are times when we need to bring in a third party, but it's rare. There's times that we need to bring in somebody else. You know, if you're saying something constructive that you would want to say in somebody's front, sometimes you're doing some things, and so saying something constructive you would say in front of another. That's just what you'd want to do. If you want to help build somebody up, and then everyone in the conversation wants to help others. They want to help that person. Everybody in the conversation is, so you guys maybe have heard that called an intervention. So that we call those interventions. And so interventions, you're all trying to help that person. You're trying to get them from where they're at and growing them into this different direction. That's okay. That's something that everybody comes together and go, hey, this person has a problem. How do we help them? How do we fix it? How do we help them get closer to God and get them away from the pipe? Whatever it is. You just got to get them away from it. Helping get somebody to rehab, absolutely, it's a perfect opportunity. Everything else, though, you shouldn't be gossiping about somebody. If somebody's hurting themselves, yes, we have to talk about it, and we have to help them. Here's just a good rule of thumb. Are they getting ready to hurt themselves or others? You have to talk about it. If they're getting ready to hurt themselves or others, you have to talk about it. If they're getting ready to commit a crime, you have to talk about it. Those are just good rules of thumb. That's it. Other than that, shut your mouth. You shouldn't be talking about it. There's no reason to slander somebody else and destroy them in order to help yourself feel better, because that's what we do. When you go back into Bible times, when you go back into biblical, it was so important not to talk about others because you destroyed their character. And if you destroyed somebody's character, you essentially destroyed their ability to ever be able to work. If somebody couldn't work, they couldn't survive. They didn't have unemployment back then. They didn't have the welfare system. They lived on the outskirts of town until they starved to death. That's what it meant to destroy somebody's character back then. And today we do the same thing. When we destroy somebody's character by gossiping with them, we have all these other systems in place that financially they can survive, maybe not in California, but they can survive someplace. They can make it. The thing is that you get to this point where all of a sudden they've been alienated from friends. They've had people who've been separated from them. They have no longer have that social aspect, and they go into such a deep depression that they feel like killing themselves. You've literally taken them and you've destroyed their character. You've destroyed this ability to have relationships, and you've actually gave them a death sentence. That's what happens when we gossip, and we continue to promote it, and we continue to go forward. So the biblical time where people would starve to death because they couldn't make a living still applies today, because people are now starving to death because of depression. They're starving to death now because they have no socialization. They're lonely. They have no idea what it means to have friends any longer. Yeah, we have Facebook friends. I tell you that you meet hundreds of people, you talk to hundreds of people. You've seen people today that walked in today that put a fake smile on their face, but are deep down hurting because they don't have friendships. They don't have somebody that knocks on the door. we send a Facebook tweet or a Facebook message or whatever. There's nothing like actually knocking on the door and going to talk to somebody directly. How are you doing? How's it going? How's this happening? Oh, I sent a text message. Well, you had your phone in your hand. You didn't call. What happened? It was just easier. We've gotten to this point where it's just easier. It's easier to gossip about somebody than to really call them and help them. It's easier to send them a text message than it is to reach out for them and help them avoid the depression. It's easier to do these different things instead of doing what's harder. Instead of actually stepping out and going, I'm going to have better relationships. I'm going to have healthy relationships. I'm going to help others grow. I'm going to love those around me. No, let's tear them down. Let's break them apart and actually give them a death sentence because of depression. Oh, that's all right. They make Prozac for that. Or they make whatever, Wellbutrin, whatever it is. And I've talked to people that are on. I had a conversation with my mom before she passed. She got to this point where she felt so alone living in our home that not just because she didn't have her friends didn't call, nobody called, it was us. She was taking 120 milligrams of Prozac every day. It's like 3 times the normal dosage. Guys, that's what happens. We get to this point where we think that, oh, hermits are happy. Hermits are not happy. They're just not. People that live alone and they're off and they withdraw and they've withdrawn and they've gotten to that point and it's become a way of life because relationships don't exist for them. And all the relationships they were part of were hurtful. And people talked about them. And people hurt them. And people said mean things about them behind their backs. And it finally got back to them. And it drove them to go live in a cave. Or drove them to go live in the hills. Or drove them out of our communities. And it drove them to the edge of the community. That's literally what's happened because of our loose lips. We just want to talk and run away. Your words matter. Your words matter more than what you ever think they do. Matthew 12, but I tell you that everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you will be condemned. Every word you have spoken, all of them. Our words have the power of life and death. What you can say to somebody can help them grow, can help them flourish, and what you can say to somebody can kill them and kill their spirit and destroy them and tear them down. Man, what I would love to do, I would love to happen on a regular basis is I would love to be caught speaking well of others. That's what I want. I want people to walk in on conversations and say, what are you talking about? Oh, we were just talking about how great so-and-so was. Really? How often does that happen? You ever walked into a room and all conversation came to a complete halt? Well, who do you think they were talking about? You know, I mean, you ever had that happen? You walk in, they're full-blown laughing and joking. You walk in and say, you're like, wow, what were you saying? Obviously it wasn't good. It wasn't good about me. You know, or maybe it was just, maybe it was good about you. And people just don't know how to say good things to others now. People don't know how to say, man, you're amazing, you're great, thank you so much. It's non-existent in our vocabulary now. Ask your children, what's the word they hear from you the most? You heard, I mean, I've heard some, those are all pretty good, no, stop, don't touch that, it's going to burn, don't do this, no. But not anybody came in here and said, you're God's gift to me. Because do we look at it that way? Do we look at them as being God's gift to us? Do we look at them and go, man, you're amazing, you're precious? Stop doing that, precious. It's, you don't have to be weird about it. You don't have to be like, oh, my precious. You don't have to do that either. But how you speak to them directly influences how they think of themselves, how they grow up, how they relate with other people, how encouraging they are to their friends, How we speak to them makes all of that difference. Your words give life. And so if all they ever hear from you is, no, stop, don't do that. Oh, what's wrong with you? Instead of going, you're amazing, you're beautiful, I love you. Those are the words that they need to be hearing from us. And when they don't hear that, they go, well, how do you think they're going to react to those around them? I look at my kids, because I'm not trying to say I'm perfect here, because I'm far from. They've heard that stop, no, what are you doing? But the thing is if you look at them, how they interact with one another, it's because they've learned that from us. That stop, don't do that. Don't touch that. It's because of how we taught them. It's how we've interacted with them, how we've raised them is exactly what they're doing to one another. And we start going, why are our kids, why are they doing this? It's because we've gotten to this point where we're like, oh, here, watch some Pokemon, or play Pokemon Go, stay out of the street. Here, take this. We've gotten to this point where technology has raised them. I promise you now, if you have a 4-year-old, they know how to use your iPad better than you do. I promise you. I promise you, if you have an 11-year-old, they've probably already hacked something. Probably your password. They already know it. They've bought everything out there. And you think that it's not getting to the point where we go back to the Wall-E, where they're sitting in chairs and they're relying on technology. If we're having them rely so much on technology now, what do you think they're going to do to their kids? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to put them in these little chairs that has a TV right in front of them, kick them down the street. Roll on, baby. You want to be caught speaking well of others, especially your children. You want to be caught standing up for people, not tearing them down. You want to be caught giving life. You want to be part of the solution, not the problem. Start looking at your conversations. Are you part of the solution in these conversations? Or are you part of the problem? Are you the one that's carrying it on, digging other people deeper and destroying them? Do you believe in the best of people, or do you assume the worst? Because that's usually what we do. We look at them, we get this judgmental cast, and we go, ooh, yeah, that person. But now we go the opposite direction. We start looking at them. Because I just want to tell you is that God continued to believe in you. When you were out doing whatever you were doing, God continued to see the best in you. God continued to look down and go, I know he'll change. So when I was out running around, gluing mailboxes shut, stealing my parents' car, doing all that stuff, God still looked at me and said, that will come to a stop one day, and I love you. Now let's go, stop sinning, and let's move forward. That's what happens. He sees the best in us, and he continues to go, I'm waiting for you. He's waiting for us like the father of the prodigal child. He's going, I've been waiting, and I'm open arms, I am here. And see, the thing is that we don't see that in people. We look and go, that's how they're going to be. They're always going to be that way. They're always going to be in this position. And they're not. People change. And especially when they have an encounter with God, people change. When they have an encounter with God, people go in a different direction. Look at the prostitute at the well. Jesus has an encounter with her. He actually has a conversation, and he goes, you've been the wife of many husbands. And he wasn't mad, he wasn't judgmental about it. He wasn't any of those things. He said, now stop and sin no more. And she ran back to her village, and she goes, you have to come meet this Jesus, because he said things about me that nobody knew. And he said, and he helped me get away from this. And he said, come follow me. And it wasn't that, oh, you're going to go to hell. He never said that to her. He said, stop doing this. And she went and actually created more followers. Does that sound like somebody who's going, oh, I hate you. I don't want to ever see your face again. Get away from me. No, he was uplifting and he was helping her grow. He said, stop. Now follow me, because I'll show you the right way to go. Now go in this direction. People change. See, we serve a God of good news and of grace and of love. Not one who discards us because of sin and shame. And that's where we've gotten to this point with people, is we've discarded them because of sin and shame. You know, and we tend to do it worse to our own. We tend to do it worse to Christians. See, what happens is that maybe somebody has to fall from grace. Anybody ever heard, there's a book out there, and it's called Why We Eat Our Own. And the author came and spoke for us here one time. His name is Michael Cheshire. And he came and he wrote this book, though. He's actually in Denver, and I wouldn't say to follow him now. He's kind of gone away from the Christian life. But and it's kind of because what we do. But if you look at what he opens the book with, and he talks about, maybe you've heard of Ted Haggard. Anybody heard of him? Or maybe you've heard of, one of these other people that have had a fall from grace. And so the pastor in Denver had a fall from grace. The day that he got finished preaching about homosexuality, he was caught having sex with another man in the bathroom. That day. And he came out, he apologized, he walked away, he said, I did it. He's all, and the people who judged him the harshest and threw him out of church were the Christians. And he goes, I want help. Help me, guide me, direct me. I understand, I got to get fired, I get that. And he asked for help, and he asked for direction, and instead, people threw him out and said, you're not welcome in this building ever again. Now I want you to think about something. Each and every one of us has committed some sort of sin in our life. Each and every one of us. We probably committed a sin while we were in this building today. We probably committed a sin on our way in. We said something, we did something, we thought something, we did something wrong, and we committed a sin. And the Bible is very clear that all sin is punishable by one thing, by death. All sin. It doesn't go through and goes, well, these are level A offenses, and these are level B offenses, and these are level C's. There's not different categories of offenses. It says all sin is punishable by death. So if it's lying, if it's having a relationship that's outside of your marriage, if it's any of those things, all of those things are punishable by one thing, and one thing alone. It's by death. So all of us face the same judgment from God if we don't seek forgiveness and if we don't turn our ways. All of us. It's the same punishment. But he offers grace. And he offers to wash that away. And yet it's the people in this building that instead of helping one another grow, that we shame and kick each other out. That if I do something wrong, it's like, oh, he's horrible. Okay, well, help me get through it. Because that's what we're called to do. We're called to help one another get through it. We're called to help one another grow. We're called to help one another get through whatever it is in our lives. We're all shepherds. You know, you guys, maybe you don't understand that, but we're all shepherds. It's not just one of us, it's a shepherd. All of us are. You know, and see, when God gave these instructions, when Jesus was here, he gave us this instruction. He said, now go take care of my sheep. And he was talking to Peter. But really, all of us have been responsible, and especially if you're a parent, you're still shepherding your children. Even they might be 30 or 40 or whatever, you're still shepherding them. You're still giving them advice. You know, you're still trying to help them and guide them and lead them along the way. And see, the thing is about shepherds, I don't know if you guys know anything about sheep, but sheep are very, very dirty and filthy animals. They smell. They're just. And see, the thing is that the shepherd has to go out there and has to clean them up and has to cut the wool off. And when it's raining and when the floods happen in our lives, the shepherd has to go out and help the sheep, because if a sheep gets wet and falls over, you know what happens to that sheep? It dies because it exasperates, because it can't get up. It needs help from the shepherd. Well, if all of us are called to help one another and be shepherds, that means that when it's raining and then it's pouring and then our lives are in chaos, that means that we don't push that person further out into the flood. That means we go out, wrap them up, and we bring them in together. And we help them get on their feet. And we help clean them up. And really what we have to do is get out there and stop worrying about how dirty we're going to get along with them, but we need to get out there and get into the mess to help clean them up, to help get them away from whatever else is going on. So instead of talking about them and actually dragging them further into the dirt, we need to go out there, help them grow and get out of the position that they're in, and help them get back to where they're looking at them. And God goes, I've washed all of that away. I've made them white as snow. I've washed all that sin away. I've washed all of that dirt away. They are beautiful. And here we are going, nope, I'll kick you over on my own and watch you starve and huff and puff for breath until you die. It's where we've gotten. We're not helping one another, we're hurting one another. That's what happens when we gossip. And so you start looking and going, how do we grow from this? How does this figure into a rubber band? Because it's going to take a stretch for you to stop talking about others. It's going to be hard to stop. How do I stop belittling others? And how do I help grow them? And how do I offer comfort to those that are hurting? How do I help grow them? It's going to take a stretch, and it's going to be hard. It's not going to be an easy task. It's not going to be something that you go, man, wow, that was easy. Because the gossip is like a choice morsel. We like it. It's a delicious cookie. You're waiting for it to come out of the oven. You're like, what's coming out today? Oh, snickerdoodles. Let's do this. Instead of going, wow, Mike, the doc says you're heavy. Should probably lay off the cookies. He really did say that this week. But, guys, they smell so good, right? Man, it's gonna be delicious. Man, suck it in again. But that's how we have to get. We have to change what we're doing. We have to look at things a little differently. We have to shut our mouths. If it's not helping somebody, then don't say it. If you're not helping somebody grow, then don't do it. Now, there's going to be times where you got to come talk to somebody. You got to talk to a pastor. You got to talk. Guys, I will tell you right now, you tell something to my wife, she doesn't tell me. You tell something to me, I don't tell her. Well, our job is to help you grow. That's just what happens. We don't go put your business out in the middle of the street. Here, guys, here's the can. Go kick it around for a while. We don't do that. We help you grow. Are we good at it? We try to be. Now, all of us should get to that mindset. Start learning how to be confident. Somebody that they know they can trust you with something. They can help you grow through it. That's what you need. I went for 40 minutes. I could probably go for another half hour more. Susan's up here like, yeah, do it, go. Everybody else is like, oh man, you beat us up enough, man. Your words have the power of life and death. Let's just finish with this. We're called to speak life into other people. Toby Mac has this great song. It really is called Speak Life. And he says, because through no matter what's going on, is that when somebody's positive in your life, they're helping you grow, they're speaking words of encouragement to you, you feel that you can take on the world. You feel that you can take on anything that's going on. When you have people behind you going, we're here for you. We can do this. You know, those pep talks, I played football, and when we were playing football, those pep talks right before the game, even though we knew we were going to get smashed. We were like, man, we suck, but man, we can do this. Let's go out and we try. It makes a big difference when we speak life to one another and we help one another grow. Our words have this power of life and death, and when we tear somebody down, we tear them down, and usually it's for good. When we speak so negative of people, usually we're destroying them, we destroy their character, and we make it to where they can't even be around their friends anymore because we've said something that has been so nasty and destructive that we've ruined any sort of friendship or relationship they could have had with those people. And really, what did we gain from that? We didn't gain anything. We just lost a friend. We lost somebody that was a confidant, somebody we could talk to, and somebody we could love on. It's time for us to really take those words that your mom probably told you or your dad or somebody told you. If you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. And use those and take those to heart and actually start doing it. And as parents, we need to do it with our children first. And watch how their relationships change. And watch what happens differently with them. And you'll start seeing that it's such a benefit that you'll have no choice but to do it with your friends and your family and those around you. You just be like, man, it's amazing on how their personalities develop and how they grow and how they actually turn into those, they go from being these little buds into these full-blown flowers that do amazing things. Let's speak words of life and encouragement. Let's pray. Father, thank you so much. Thank you for being willing to be with us as we're lost. As we're lost sheep sometimes, that we're in the mud, that we're out in the dirt, that we're laying on our side, sometimes exasperating. And what we would love is for you to be able to help us and bring us back. And we know that you speak that to us to do for others, to help others get from where they're at, to love them, to help them grow, to instead of speaking words of gossip or even words of of hurtfulness or bringing somebody down, that we can just come together and help actually grow somebody and love them. And no matter what's going on in their lives, we can help them get through whatever situation's going, because as a group, we can do it together. We can love one another. So, Father, we ask for courage. Courage to step out and do something different. Courage to tell people when they're gossiping around us, stop that, I don't want to hear it. Mike wouldn't want that if he heard you talking like that. He would be hurt. Whatever it takes for us to actually step out and say, I don't want to be part of that conversation. Give us the strength so that even those that are talking know that we wouldn't do it about them. That we wouldn't accept it if somebody was to come and speak about them behind their back. Father, we know that people may speak even more about us because of doing that, but we're called to be set apart. We're called to be different. We're called not to follow into what everybody else is doing. For the road that leads to hell is broad, and many people are on it. But the one that leads to heaven is narrow. So, Father, we want to go through that narrow gate. And we know that we have to look different, do things differently, and to stand out. And it starts by us not lying, not gossiping, and holding on to your truths. So we ask for that strength. We ask for the courage to persevere through any obstructions that come in our way, because they will. And we ask that you continue to walk with us. That as we're facing these different decisions or facing whatever's coming up, that we hear that voice. We hear your voice going, this is the direction you should go. Father, we're thankful. We're thankful for what you're doing. The hearts that you've turned today. The direction that you've put some people on. Maybe it's a 180 or just away from where we were going and to a different direction to pursue you. It's in your Son, Jesus' name, that we pray. Amen.